locked in, locked in. Welcome to HerWay, UnLocked, no way late, unapologetic. Share real stories and walk boldly in their purpose. I'm your host, Miss Truth, and I am the founder of Finding You Sis. I'm here to inspire you to heal, grow, and boldly live her way. Now let's get into today's conversation. Hey everybody, how are you doing today? I am your host, Miss Truth. I am the founder of Finding You Sis, and I'm also the host of this beautiful podcast, HerWay Unlocked. Now, if you've been locked in with me over the last few weeks, please continue to share our podcasts on your social media platforms. I really appreciate all the love. Make sure you continue to comment and let me know what you think about our episodes. So we want to continue to grow as a community, and it's all because of you. So I want you all to know that I really appreciate the love, the support, and everything that comes along with it. All right. So before we jump into today's conversation, I want to pause for a moment because you all may have noticed that we have a brand new intro. Yes, we do. We have a new intro. This one was actually intro that was chosen by the listener. So from you all, I do appreciate every single person who took the time to listen to episode 4 of the podcast and select the brand new intro and outro for HerWay Unlocked. Definitely appreciate you all as always. All right. So if you love it, for those who are just now listening to the intro, make sure you let me know how you feel about the new intro. Did you love it? Does it feel like HerWay Unlocked? Send me a message, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts on it. Really appreciate it. And also, if you missed any of the other episodes or you want to revisit a conversation, you need to make sure you run over to herwayunlocked.com. Again, that is HerWay Unlocked. And you can get caught up on any past episodes, stay connected to our community as we continue to grow. All right. So last week, we talked about the topic loyalty over numbers and why it's really important to make sure you are choosing your friends not for to have a huge circle, but making sure you choose quality over quantity. Loyalty over numbers. That is very important to me, and I encourage you all to do the same. And keeping this in mind, you have to choose depth over access. Be mindful of who truly deserves to sit at your table. And if that conversation resonated with you, today's episode is going to be natural for you. It's going to be a natural transition into today's conversation. So, because the reason we struggle with loyalty most times is because we don't want to set boundaries. I know for myself, I struggle with setting boundaries. I tell you, it's important to set boundaries, have discernment, because you're not still trying in this season to be chosen and picked by anybody. You need to make sure you are listening in on what I have for you today, because it's going to transition from last week's conversation. And like I said, if for some reason you missed last week's conversation, make sure you head over to herwayunlocked.com and catch up. Okay? Catch up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get right into the main topic today. Our main topic that we're going to be talking about today is peace over proving. You want to make sure you remain in a space of peace over trying to prove yourself to people who don't even deserve to sit at your table. Somewhere along the way, many of us, we've learned that we need to continue to earn love, right? Earn belonging. We want to earn our place by doing more. For some reason, we always feel like in order to earn our place, we have to do more, we have to give more, we have to explain more. And what it's doing actually is we're shrinking parts of ourselves to try to fit in. I know for a fact I'm guilty of doing this, always trying to prove my worth to people. It is exhausting. Trust me, you are sitting there performing so much for people, trying to get them to see who you really are when they have a mask on. They're not trying to see it because they're not deserving of sitting at your table, one. And some of them, they just don't want to sit there. They don't want to sit at your table because it wasn't meant for them to sit at your table. So What I want you all to do and get out of today's conversation is hopefully you continue to start evaluating areas where you're continuously overextending yourself, trying to prove yourself to people instead of just really showing up who you are. It definitely shows up when you feeling uncomfortable, you're not rested. Saying no can definitely be a challenge for some people, but also being misunderstood is something that can happen as well. So you have to understand this, and here's the truth to it. Proving yourself and trying to prove yourself to people is, like I said earlier, it is exhausting. And at what cost? Is it going to cost you your peace trying to continue proving yourself to people? Is it expensive? Because some people, when they're overextend themselves trying to prove yourself to people, you're giving your time, you're giving your finances, you're giving in so many different areas. So you have to really step back and ask yourself, is this expensive? In me trying to show up and perform, is this expensive for me? Because if it is, you may want to go back and reevaluate some things. You have to choose your piece. It means sometimes, like I said, stop the performance, stop auditioning for rooms that were never meant to hold you and even want to accept you as who you are. You have to trust that you yourself are aligned. You have to know what is the correct alignment for you, your life, and what is not going to require yourself to get hurt in the process because it can happen. You can get hurt trying to overextend yourself. You have to understand that being chosen by the right people and by God, it doesn't require you to always have to perform. It doesn't require you to perform. If you are performing, you need to take a step back and figure out why. Why am I performing and not really carrying out, having this sense of peace? Because peace surpasses all understanding. You know, when there's peace, it's God. He gives you a sense of peace when you're around people and you know for sure that these people are deserving of sitting at the table with you and being your friend and you opening up your heart and your life and your love to them. So I just want you all to take a moment. Let's pause for just a second. I want you to pause for a second. I want you to ask yourself, where in my life am I trying to prove my worth? Let me say that again. Where in my life am I trying to prove my worth? Is it on your job? Is it in friendships? Is it in situationships? Where are you trying to prove your worth to people who will never see your worth? Where are you auditioning? Take a step back and really look at it. Where, in what area of your life is it relationships? Is it in ministry? Is it in your work? Like I said, even how you show up for others. Ask yourself, am I overperforming? Am I auditioning? That's a lot. Because listen, your piece, you have to choose your piece. You have to give yourself permission to rest in knowing who you are and whose you are. Breathe for a second. Trust the process. You're becoming who you are. You don't have to outperform for people. All right, that may be a lot, but I definitely want you all to think about that for a second. Think about that moment. Who are you performing for? I'll say this. I know for myself, it hasn't always been the easiest for me to show up as myself for people, even family. You know, I forgot to mention that. And it's one of the reasons is because I didn't always feel that people would accept me for who I am if I show up authentically myself. Sometimes even in family. I remember a conversation that one of my friends had, one of my former friends actually had with me, and she said she had a conversation with someone else that I knew for years. And they kind of were going back and forth on whether that was truly me or not. Was that me performing or not? And, you know, I had learned over time to show up in different ways around different people. So for the people who accepted me, I was able to let my hair down. I let my hair down for people who accepted me for who I was. And for others, I just gave them a little small piece of me because I wasn't really sure if they would accept me. But I realized over time that I just had to continue walking in my truth because everybody is not going to accept me for who I am. It's not always that I show up in raw form and everyone is going to just accept me with open arms and love on me and continue to choose me and my friendship once they know this is who I am. But as I continue to grow, evolve, and become the woman who God has created me to be and really step in this space of becoming and evolving as a woman, as a business owner, I'm learning more and more to give myself a little bit more space and peace and just showing up and saying it is okay to say no. It is okay to set boundaries. And it's okay for me to show everyone who I am. Now, you have to also use wisdom because I've learned over time too that in certain spaces, you don't have to show every part of you because one, they may not be deserving of that. And two, it may not be for them. And that's not saying that you are being someone that you're not. It's just that you are setting boundaries. That's a part of the boundaries. You're showing up in that space in that capacity where they need to see you. I've learned that in some aspects, even in business, that some people they will not accept who you are because they want you to continue being the old version of yourself. And that's not just in business, that could be in families, friendships, relationships. Everybody doesn't always approve of people growing beyond who they are or beyond who they used to be. And I've learned that if a person is not going to allow me to continue to grow past what I used to be, they're only keeping me back and I'm going to continue to be stagnated. So at this point in my life, I choose to continue to evolve and be around people who allow me the space to evolve. I have friendships with people who I've been friends with since for 25 plus years. High school, one of my best friends, been friends with her since ninth grade. But one of the things that I love about her is she's given me the space to grow. Over time, I've met a lot of new friends along the way. I've been able to also continue growing and becoming who I am and learning. And she allows me that space to continue to evolve and grow and continue to love on me. So it's very important to make sure that you are choosing people who are going to keep you in that space of peace and not in holding you back from becoming who you are. It's all about evolving over time and really truly tapping into moments where you're choosing yourself and giving yourself the opportunity to continue to grow. But one of the things that you never want to do is you never want to stay at the same place that you were at. You want to make sure that you continue to grow and grow over time. And in order to do so, you have to make sure you are prioritizing your peace over anything because your peace is priceless. You have to ask yourself a couple of things when you're talking about peace over proving who you are. It, like I said earlier, is exhausting trying to outperform or overperform to be in anybody's circle. I remember, I'll tell you all, there was a time in my life that growing up, I used to tell people this. I wasn't accepted in all places because I was different. People looked at me. I remember even having a guy that told me when I was in my dating era, he said, your face doesn't match your voice. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what he meant by my face didn't match my voice. I remember one of the reasons why he may have mentioned that was because in the society, it's all about the physical appearance and looking. A lot of times people choose their friends, their relationships based on the physical and not the heart of the people. And that's okay if that's what you want. That is there's nothing wrong with you choosing someone physically over another person. But you always want to also make sure that you are choosing based on the heart of the person. Not everybody is going to accept you, and that is okay. So when that person, said to me, your voice doesn't match your face, I said, okay, no problem. It may have hurt in that moment, but I understood and I decided to continue choosing me instead of trying to prove myself to this individual. In other areas of my life, I've realized that I was giving so much of me in my time that I wasn't getting the same back in return. And this was sometimes even in friendships. I was always the person, and any of my friends could attest to this, that I'll give them anything. If I could give them the clothes off my back, I'd definitely do that. And I have done that. But I was always giving so much and stretching myself in areas where I was so exhausted that I couldn't even perform for myself. I couldn't do the things that I needed to do for myself just in my own care. Like self-care is very important. And so I was overexhausting myself. I could have had I could have been in school and had a paper due, and if my friend needed me or any of my friends need me, I would drop what I'm doing and run over and try to help them. But I realized that at the end of the day, I'm only hurting myself because now I'm having to, I'm running on exhaustion and I may not be able to show up fully for myself in those moments. Now, it's okay to sacrifice time for the people who you love, but also making sure that you understand that if you are giving of your time and you're giving up some space within yourself to these other people, make sure it's reciprocated. And it's not that people have to measure up to everything that you do. It's not about, keeping tabs and receipts on the things that they're doing, but you just want to make sure that you're always setting up a space where people are giving of what you're giving. And what I mean by that is they're showing up when you need them as well as you are showing up when they need you. It's definitely it's not a one way street when it comes to friendships and loyalty and being there for someone, but you want to definitely evaluate your relationships with whether it's your family, your coworkers, your friends, and just make sure that you are not in a place where you're giving so much more of you than what you're getting back. There are where you're definitely going to give more, but you want to make sure that you're getting something back as well because it's not always about you pouring in. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I was just having this conversation with someone else, one of my friends the other day. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You don't want to shrink parts of who you are in order for you to fit in with other people. You don't want to do that. Be who you are. Show up as you are. Do not continue people pleasing. It gets exhausting. Trust me, I have people pleased so much that now when I do say no, there are times when I may get some pushback because people are like, well, this is not the same person. This is not her. She's different. Maybe something is going on in her life. No, I'm setting boundaries now. I'm putting people in an uncomfortable place because I'm saying no, I'm choosing me, I'm choosing my peace. And sometimes that can be misunderstood. But I want to encourage you all today to choose yourself. Choose peace over anything because peace is definitely priceless. All right. Before I close out, I want to say this. I want to take a moment to pause for what we call unlocked moment. Unlocked moment. Where we're going to get a chance to really release some things that no longer serve us in our purpose in life. I want you to choose to walk differently from today forward. Choose to walk differently. So, where you are in your life right now, I want you to ask yourself this question. What are you going to unlock today? What have you decided to do differently? Is it proving yourself, continuing to prove yourself? Or are you going to continue to ask yourself, maybe this people pleasing is not for me? I'm too exhausted. Is it fear of not being enough? What is it really? Ask yourself today, am I continuing to prove myself or I'm going to choose myself and I'm not going to continue to people please? This is something else you can ask yourself. What truth are you unlocking into your life right now? What truth are you unlocking into your life right now? Say it out loud. Or you can also post it in the comments. Send me a DM if you want to do that. But let me know, what are you unlocking? Finally, what's one way you can walk differently this week because of that truth that you just said? How can you walk differently? One of the ways that I'm going to walk differently, boldly, using a boldness. Sometimes it may be hard to be bold and walk into spaces and actually say no. One of my friends just did tell me this week, no is a sentence. I listened. No is a sentence. Not now is also, but no is a sentence. So I'm choosing to make some small shifts in my life. I'm being intentional. I'm choosing me. I'm choosing my peace. I'm no longer from this day forward going to continue people pleasing. I'm going to show up in spaces that God wants me to show up in. I'm going to continue to connect with people who God intended for them to be in my life, God connections. I'm going to listen to my needs more, and I'm going to show up in capacities where I need to show up in from this day forward. So I want to say this moment is for you too. So I want you to take a moment to ask yourself these questions and continue to move forward from here and know that you do not have to continue proving yourself in order to be in spaces that are not even designed for you. They're not designed for you. And you don't have to continue proving yourself to people who are not meant to sit at your table. All right. So if today's episode spoke to you, I'd love to hear your unlocked moment. Send me a message, share this episode, pass it along to a friend, a family member, a coworker, someone that you know needs to listen to this message, and remind themselves that it is okay not to people please. All right. Until next time, guys, I want you all to walk unlocked, unedited, and unapologetically becoming in your era. All right, you guys, I love you so much. Continue to stay locked in with me. Until next time, and I'm out. Have a great one.